As Europe begins to make strides in the fight against coronavirus, leaders are being forced into a difficult choice. Ease the lockdown and reopen the economy, or stand firm and prioritise public health. Britain is preparing to start lifting restrictions, even though it's just recorded the second most deadly outbreak in the world. Evelyn Laverick reports.
On his way to his first parliamentary grilling since recovering from COVID-19, Prime Minister Boris Johnson is presiding over a country which is the first in Europe to pass 30,000 coronavirus deaths. Even so, he's announced some lockdown measures could be lifted as early as Monday.
But I have absolutely no doubt that what the people of this country want us to do now is, as I said just now, to suppress this disease, to keep suppressing this disease, and to begin the work of getting our country's economy back on its feet.
He's not alone. Germany is to open up shops, schools as well as Bundesliga football, but they've seen fewer than 7,000 deaths in the pandemic. Even so, Chancellor Merkel is insisting on an emergency break if there's a new surge in infections.
What I regard as crucial is that we not only have the way to greater openness, but also a common feature that says that if something happens somewhere, if the infections go up somewhere, then we also have an emergency mechanism. And then it's not a whole country, so to speak, that must be put at risk again, but individual regions.
Russia recorded a fourth consecutive day where infections have risen by more than 10,000, but fatalities are declining. And during a video conference, a cautious President Putin said he will reopen all industrial plants and construction sites in the capital starting next week. Spain is treading even more carefully, extending its state of emergency for a fourth time. The Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has warned that abruptly ending nearly 8 weeks of lockdown would be unforgivable. But the jury's still out on Sweden, where schools, gyms and shops have remained open. Deaths are more than 3 times its Nordic neighbours, but far fewer than in the UK and Italy. Reaching a balance between health and wealth is not proving easy. Evelyn Laverick, Euronews.
Well, let's hear a little bit more about Germany's approach and go to our reporter, Jonah Kalgren, who's in Berlin. Morning, Jonah. We heard Angela Merkel there saying that regions must be prepared and have the right infrastructure in place to reimpose restrictions if the number of infections start to rise again. How would that work? And are the regions that she was talking to on board with that idea?
Well, first of all, practically, how would that work? They have a plan, and this is something that Angela Merkel has really pushed for in meetings and when speaking about it on press conferences and so on. The plan is that if in a city there is more than 50 new infections per 100,000 people per week, then that city will be locally shut down. Or it could be a village, or it could be a whole region. But if you rise over this kind of limit that is set, then there'll be a local shutdown there. And that could perhaps be a blueprint for other countries when they start opening up. Then when there's a new outbreak, which many virologists here in Germany are saying that there will be in the autumn, then instead of shutting everything down the whole country, you do this targeting lockdowns. Now, the regions are on board, but it's not uncontroversial. The large cities, Berlin and Hamburg,